Craving your next action-packed adventure? Audible delivers thrills of every kind on your command, like Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, where a lone astronaut must save humanity from extinction, narrated with stunning intensity by Ray Porter. From electrifying suspense and daring quest to spine-tingling horror and romance in far-off realms, unleash your adventurous side with gripping titles that'll keep you guessing. Discover exclusive Audible originals, hotly anticipated new releases, and must-listen bestsellers that hook you from the first minute. Because Audible knows there's no greater thrill than the one that speaks to you. Discover what lies beyond the edge of your seat. Start your free 30-day trial at audible.com/WonderyUS. That's audible.com/WonderyUS.
It started with a simple mistake. A cup of powdered soda, a wooden stick, and a record-breaking cold night. No one set out to invent anything, but that frozen accident would go on to redefine the taste of summer. The path from backyard experiment to iconic treat wasn't exactly quick. It took decades, a Great Depression, and more than a few legal battles before it became a fixture of childhood. The perfect way to cool off on a sweltering June day. This cold, sweet classic could turn an ordinary afternoon into a memory, and every freezer into a battlefield over cherry, orange, or grape. And while it's been imitated endlessly, the name itself has never been ruled generic. That title still belongs to the original. Often copied, never duplicated, there's only one frozen ice pop on a stick that can claim to be the first. But does being first mean it's the best? And that's why this week's On Brand is on Popsicle.
We're all jazzed up, nearly having a cow. You want your favorite show and it's on right now. It's on brand.
Welcome to On Brand with Jon and Marisa. I am Jon.
I'm Marisa.
Okay. I took a little sip of water during your thing and was like, I'll just wet my whistle before we get started. And I had just chomped on some Trader Joe's peanut butter pretzels and it washed a chunk onto my dangly, whatever that little dangly is.
No one knows what that's called.
And now I'm like,
are you going to be okay? Do you need a minute?
My eyes are watering.
I like to think that you were so shocked by the reveal that we were being talking about Popsicle today that you choked on your water.
Not going to lie. I have considered doing popsicles probably twice. I feel like I dibble-dabbled a little bit into research and deemed it not...
Too boring?
A little boring. And then, but I want to do it, so I'm glad that you have.
Sure, they can't all be a roller coaster of emotion.
We can't clip-clop through all of them.
Sometimes it's more about the association with the brand.
Sometimes someone leaves. I'm going to assume a cup of Kool-Aid out in the yard, and it froze, and there was a twig in it.
I alluded to that as much, yes, but we'll go on the ride. Jon, Popsicle, thoughts? What does that name stir in your loins?
Who doesn't? I love a popsicle.
Yeah?
And it's I do love all the original flavors. It would be hard for me to pick. I tend to always lean grape when I'm given an option in a sweet or a treat. I love
lean grape?
Oh, lean grape. I have grape high chews at home. I love
I'm shocked.
You know what I love to do? You can buy powdered sugar-free grape crush stuff.
To mix with water?
Yeah, and you know what I mix it with?
What?
That drink I can't say. That clear bubbly soda cappuccino.
Topo Chico.
Oh,
okay. So
I make my own sugar-free grape soda.
Is it like a Crystal Light, is meant to be shaken in a bottle of water for a low-cal treat on the go?
Yeah.
But then you put it in Topo Chico and you kind of doctor up your own soda.
Right, because several years ago, probably a decade ago, I reached out to the Crush Company and said, listen, I'm loving your sugar-free orange crush. Why don't we have grape? They're like, you know what you get. You get an email that's like,
we'll pass it along to our team.
We'll run it over to the scientist at Crush and get back to you. Which reminds me, I should reach back out to Hostess because I've not gotten an update on Suzy Q's in 2 years.
It feels like a while since you've reached out to a company with an inquiry.
It is. And probably,
or has it been? I don't know. Maybe you have and you haven't told me. Check your sent folder on your
It's almost pointless now. Everything, you can't get through to anybody. Then someone just answers from their couch. I've bitched about this before. You just get Linda at home.
Yeah,
and I'm
sure.
listen, I want some Diet Grape soda. She's like, okay.
If you go to the Facebook page of any company, they'll be like, grill-in ideas for summer is their post. And then 45 comments of bring back this flavor,
Oh my God,
bring
yeah.
back what happened to this, or I found a bug in my, that it's all, everybody is racing to social media. That's the only place you feel like your voice matters. And that's where you have your public forum. So like, that's kind of the best place to air your grievances, because it looks bad on them. If it's like, did you notice on our like last post about Grill and Summer Ideas, 19 people like reported that they found like bugs in their ketchup? It's like, it's really, it's bad PR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What cracks me up about those is they always have something too. Like, we've started a petition and over 300 people have signed it. And then like giant corporation, which isn't even like hostess. It's
Sure.
like 9 companies own it. It's like some conglomerate.
It's not even, you're not even getting close.
We don't care.
It's the equivalent of the round filing bin. Did you ever have that round filing cabinet? You say, oh, I'll file that away in the round filing cabinet as a trash can.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I've
Yeah.
never heard that. But it's like, I was at Vaughn's just the other day, and it's like I walk by and I see the hostess aisle. They have chocolate Twinkies now. They have Twinkies with blueberry cream in it. It's like,
No one asked for that.
you're still making
Yeah.
things. You've got the cream and the cake. Just make the Suzy Q. You've got all the ingredients.
You would think. And you know that they have millions and millions of dollars pouring into what flavor it's going to be, like a kimchi Twinkie. It's like going to be what's like the next hot flavor. Hot honey.
Twinkie?
If
If I get a hot honey ho ho, I am moving out of town. I'm shocked there's not a hot honey ho ho.
It's coming. It's in the pipeline. It's in R&D right now. They're working out the kinks.
Well, I am excited to learn about this, but I have got to tell you, I don't know how you're feeling.
Yeah?
But I am ready for Christmas to be over. Is it just me? Am I the only one?
Are you the only one watching Christmas movies right now on Hallmark?
No, those don't start till July. What I'm talking about is I am still whittling away at my Santa Claus Diet Cokes, and I still have peppermint hand soap on the sink.
Jeez Louise.
Wrap it up. It's like we're almost at Christmas in July. At some point, I may just have to just get rid of these things.
We have a month until Christmas in July. So I think if you can sustain the hand soap until then, it'll be on theme again.
I put it away like this weekend, and then in like 2 weeks, I'm like, well, it's Christmas in July. Time to pull it out again.
Sure.
Yeah, I have peppermint soap both in the kitchen and the bathroom, and I still have like, I don't know, 3 cases of Santa Claus Diet Cokes.
That is rough.
To be fair, I would have normally gone through it, but I went home for like a month, and then I went, as
Yeah.
everyone knows, went down my Minute Maid.
You Minute Maid.
Speaking of which,
Where is it?
I was laying in bed thinking about Minute Maid the other day.
So when I text you and you don't text me back, that's what you're doing.
I've been doing
to
some
know, good to
things
know.
in bed. Another thing I've been into literally is laying in bed at night, looking at online menus, just thinking about what it would be like to eat that food.
Like for a restaurant nearby, or you're like on Google Earth, like looking around like, oh, a barbecue place in Atlanta. I wonder what they have.
I try to keep it local. LA's such a big place. We have so many restaurants, but occasionally, sure, I'll be like, oh man, I would get that if I was in Alabama. Like I'll find some great buffet or something. But anyway, so I was thinking about Minute Maid. And I was like, I wonder how they came up with that name. I was like, because it's not M-A-D-E, it's M-A-I-D. It's a maid.
You know you have a podcast about brands.
Right. So I did a little research.
Okay.
You know I know a little bit about
This might be a
research.
sneak peek. each
So
episode.
I look it up and like, oh, it was named because they were showing you like how quickly like this drink could be made. But it still didn't say like, why is it M-A-I-D? Like, what is the Minute Maid? It should be M-A-D-E.
It would be M-A-D if it's made in a minute.
So I'm completely confused. Now I'm going to have to go down a rabbit hole, and I guess in next week will be...
I'm sure there was a
Minute
guy who like was slapping his maid across the face saying, if you can't make this Minute Maid, this lemonade in less than a minute, your
Wow.
ass is grass.
That's dark.
And so then she started being called the Minute Maid because she could make lemonade in a minute.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to get to the bottom of that because it really should be.
Does every town have the van that says nude house cleaners, $99? Or is that
we-
just LA?
We have?
Yes.
I don't think I've noticed
It'll be a
that.
pink van. Oh, it's topless maids. Topless maids. Is that just an LA thing? The city of broken dreams?
That feels like it might have been like for like a prop vehicle.
No, it's a real thing.
People
We'll call
openly...
and have them come. Yeah, which I mean makes sense. That like you come here like to be an actress. And you end up being a topless maid for $99.
I know you joke about having them come. I wish
Yeah.
this camera could be my eyes because I'm literally sitting next to someone swept up. When you have kids, I get it. They're messy. They eat like pigs.
I'm going to say Al probably swept because the broom is leaning up against the wall next to a pile. And if he knew that he forgot to put it in the dustpan.
So what I'm looking
He'd be
here, I'm going to take a
horrified.
picture. We'll post it in our supplementals. But what I'm looking at here is There's a pencil, there's a popsicle stick, a trillion crumbs, a wad of hair, some blue fur, just rick-a-rack.
The piles of bric-a-brac that accumulate around your home when you have little kids. And we're very lucky. We splurged for a team of house cleaners to come twice a month. And I swear, if she came every 6 hours, there would be something to do.
Maybe we should have them always come like night before pod.
Sure. Actually, I mean, there is...
You're like, they were here yesterday.
It will be. It's twice a month, and it's usually on Thursdays. So there will be a day that it happens before the pod.
That's good to know.
That would be good to know. That'd be good to know. You know, people are gonna miss this when we have a real studio. When we're
Oprah and Gail.
When we're Oprah and Gail. When we're Joe Rogan.
You're him. I'm Howard Stern.
When we have our full setup, you're gonna miss the ball of hair at your feet.
Yeah, I'm sure I will.
People probably look back on a frame. They're like, "What is going on back there?"
I'm just sitting like longfully staring out a window. John, what's wrong? I'm just thinking about that pile of shit I had to sit next to at Marissa's disgusting house. Listen, before I forget, I need to clean up some stuff from the past. One, last week. Mm-hmm. I don't think I ever asked you, is Labubu on brand or off brand for you?
Oh my God, you Labubu is off brand for me.
Wow.
Is it on or off brand for you?
You know, I'm going to say it's on brand for me, even though I don't buy it.
Okay.
I think it's fun, and I liked watching the videos.
I'm honestly relieved it's not on brand. And people are trying to make it on brand for you. They keep like pushing it, and I'm really glad it's not.
Okay, so that's checked. I also forgot to give out a shout out to a small queer-owned business last week, which I was going to do all month.
Dropping the ball.
I don't have one so I'm just going to say support your local queer-owned businesses. All you have to do is Google queer-owned businesses, enter your town here, and see what you can do to support. And then, of course, the one thing that we keep forgetting week after week, which I know absolutely nobody gives a shit about, is who won the Battle of the Brands, Chuck E. Cheese versus Dave & Buster's.
I'm looking for it now.
We don't even have the result.
I cannot find it.
I think it was a tie.
Dave & Buster's won by not as much as I thought they would. I thought it would be overwhelmingly like 3 Chuck E. Cheese, 103 Dave & Buster's. It was a close race, but Dave & Buster's was victorious.
All right. Well, it seems odd that was your brand and you're in charge of the results, but I will accept defeat.
I think if you really want to know, I would challenge to the listeners, go to both. Go to both in the same day and then report back.
Can you imagine a worse day? Spending half your day at Chuck E. Cheese and your night at Dave & Buster's.
Oh my God. You'll go home broke, sticky, kind of hand, foot, mouth disease, something.
Broken sticky. That's like college.
Broken sticky.
All right, ho hot honey, what are we doing? Your show?
Yeah, let's get into Popsicle. Are you curious about the origins? I feel like you already have some hint.
I think I'm gonna think that the origin of frozen treats goes back to Clip Clop days, but I feel like Popsicle brand itself probably entered the scene that feels like 50s. It feels 70s, but I feel like it's gonna be 50s.
Okay, well let's get into it.
Yeah.
The year was 1905.
Okay. For Popsicle itself? Well, let's hear.
1905. So this is this is the tail end of Clip Clop time, or the main end of Mane and Tail.
I don't know. It's 7 years before the Titanic sinks.
Did you ever use Mane and Tail shampoo? Are you familiar with that?
I have never in my life understood when I'm at a CVS or a Walgreens and for some reason end up in that section. I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember Vidal Sassoon, of course. Studio products. Oh, they still have those? I remember those from the 80s. I used to get the Mousse. Horse shampoo? It's like the saddest. Like they have not changed the design of the bottle in 200 years. It's like a white bottle, I think, with like brown and blue and like
yellow, red, like mustard and blue.
Mustard, and it's like a silhouette of a horse.
It has a picture on a horse because it is horse shampoo. It is funny to imagine that every grocery store has a real, if you imagine it, not a shampoo, but they have a really small barn aisle. And it's just at the bottom of the shampoo aisle. It's about 8 inches wide. That's where all the barn, stable, equestrian supplies is. It just happens to be horse shampoo.
Small little bales of hay, like anything you need for your tiny little barn supplies.
A little stirrup.
Yeah, I've never used pony shampoo. I did used to this came up this weekend when I was at a picnic with my Avatar gal pals. I remembered, I had completely forgotten. I used to treat myself like when I was like in high school, senior year, to like on a Friday night, I'd be like, you know what, I'm going to give myself a hot oil treatment.
VO5?
Yes.
The little capsule
The
that you
little
crack?
capsule that you
Yes.
like had to heat up, I think, in water.
You would put a bowl of hot water, you heat that up or warm it. It doesn't really get hot. It gets a little warm. Crack open the top of that capsule and massage it into your scalp?
Massage it into my scalp, which at that time was either black or like my hair was so many different colors.
You might have needed the extra nourishment if your hair was damaged from bleaching.
Yeah, but I had completely forgotten that was like one of my treats back in the day. I was like so gay.
Me, VO5 hot oil followed by mane and tail shampoo.
Mane and tail shampoo and one of those masks, which I also did with my Avatar gal pals, and it's become one of the iconic pictures we send around me in a cabin doing that mask, which
sheet mask.
Yes. Which, by the way, was completely black. So I just look like I'm in blackface, like sitting on the couch. It's very disturbing, but kind of funny.
Those are really fun. It's fun to have a little girls' night like that. Okay, so 1905, we're in Oakland, California, outside San Francisco. An 11-year-old boy named Frank Epperson stirred a powdered soda drink with a wooden stick. Maybe he did it during the day, maybe he did it in the night, but he made a little beverage for himself, left the stick in the cup, left it outside overnight. By morning, thanks to unusually cold, dare I say record-breaking temperatures, and
it would have to be below 32.
By my calculations, there was only the record low day in 1905 was February 12th, and the low was 33 degrees. So it might have just
got a little slushy.
It might have gotten a little slushy. It's really hard to say because this story is so widely accepted as fact, but then you start to dig a little bit. You know, we put on our Inspector Gadget cap on, and it's like,
but there are sometimes you've got wind chill factor.
Sure, there could have been wind chill, but then I'm imagining he didn't go and check out his little cup at like 5 a.m. Yeah. Surely he was rolling out of bed at 7:30. The sun hadn't come up.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. That's how
the state.
History of branding gets very murky.
Sure, but this is the widely accepted. This is canon that this is the origin of the first popsicle. The mixture had frozen solid. He pops out of the cup. He takes a lick.
He what out of the cup?
He pops the sickle.
Oh my God, I see where this is going.
He shows it to his friends. He shows it to his family. He's licking on it. He's loving it. He does nothing for 20 years.
That is me. That is so me. I like this guy.
You and him have a lot in common so far.
Yeah.
By 1923, Epperson, he's in his 30s. He's working in real estate. Now refrigeration is becoming more common.
Of course.
He revisits his childhood experiment and began selling the frozen treats at Neptune Beach, which was an amusement park near San Francisco. He originally called them Epsicles.
Hazinga.
Doesn't quite roll
Call
off the
Hazinga
tongue.
licks.
Which was a blend of his last name and icicle. Okay.
So we're getting there.
We're getting there. According to family lore, again, lore. That's all we have at this family, allegedly.
Yeah.
His kids started calling them Popsicles.
That's cute. I like that.
Okay, sure. And the name started to stick. It's also possible that he was playing off of the word soda pop, which soda, was popping all over the scene at the time. But either way, the branding clicked. Now we're changing to Popsicles.
Wait, I feel like I haven't even asked the question. How does a 10-year-old come up with a powdered drink?
It existed at the time.
Oh, he was just making one.
How everything was like a powder. Sure, it was whatever 1905 shitty Kool-Aid they had.
He didn't create the
No, it was every little packet of whatever instant bullshit. You pour it in water, mix. I mean, who knows what it tasted like. It was a sugar something.
So he did nothing but fall asleep.
He did nothing but fall asleep. What a legend, right?
People are like, you're not going to come up with something in your sleep. And he's like, oh, yeah?
I'm just going to start leaving little experiments around my home and then going to bed and then waking up and seeing what's going to make me rich.
All he did was get full and fall asleep.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
That pile of hair next to you could be a burgeoning billion-dollar idea.
I had forgotten about it. I need someone to sweep it away.
So they started to kind of expand the idea. He leased the old Oakland Ice Company plant near his family's ceramics business. And from there, he began kind of on mass producing, but still on a small scale, his popsicles. In a single day in Coney Island, he sold as many as 8,000 popsicles. And he was selling them like he would get a little kiosk or a little stand. He would sell them out of the back of his car. People were very excited. This was a completely new idea at the time.
I'm sure, at the time, it's very novel. I'm sure even now, if you took it to Europe, it would probably be novel. Because from what I hear, they do not like ice.
They do not like ice there.
It's hard to get ice.
Is that why you haven't been to Italy?
Oh my God, that is where I should do my ice capade. Send me to Europe.
Oh,
just
my
trying
God.
to even find ice, let alone steal it.
Free ice. They wouldn't give it to you.
By the way, I have found out
You
that
get smacked with a wooden spoon by a grandma.
I love that. And steal a slice of pizza pie off of a window ledge. I have found one of the places I've been frequently ice-capating was recently shut down for vermin.
Oh no, rats in the ice.
I got rat ice.
What place?
Del Taco in Los Feliz Boulevard.
Oh no.
Which I went back to yesterday and got ice.
Oh, rat free? They had a big sign in the window that said certified 100% rat free.
Now rat free.
One thing I do love about California, I don't know if this is everywhere. There's a letter grade in the window. I remember seeing this. I used to see this in New York when I was like a teenager. I would say, oh, they have like a letter system, like how clean the business is from the health inspector. I don't know if that's everywhere, but now they have it in LA, and you can look up online and see why they have their letter. Like sometimes it's like they have a B and then you're like, well, why? And it's like, oh, a rag was where it ought not to be. You know, sometimes it's like a little like you would understand.
Benign.
And then sometimes it's like mouse tail in the stew. and then it's like, you know, they still got a B.
I'm like, well,
because the rags were all in the right place.
So the rat wasn't in the ice machine? Okay, cool. I can live with that. Yeah, I came across an article like these 40 places in LA have recently been shut down for vermin. And Bay Cities was on there, one of my favorite places in Santa Monica.
Yeah.
And I think it just happens. I think if you're in the city, it happens. They take care of it. And then, but it's like.
Is vermin any creepy crawly, or is it always rats?
It can be roaches, I have learned as well.
What about ants?
I don't know if ants are considered vermin.
I wouldn't consider ants vermin.
No.
I wouldn't consider ants vermin.
Okay, well, that's our show.
So one thing he felt very strongly about was the stick. So they were originally made from round dowels, and he was worried that they would be like a kid would be running and eating it, and that it might like gouge them or impale them. So he began making his own flat sticks. He cut scrap wood boxes from a Kraft cheese factory with a paper cutter and hand printing Popsicle on each one in his attic.
He's single-handedly creating one of the most important craft tools of a century.
Absolutely. And even just like writing on a stick at the time, I mean, that was completely new.
I don't remember if it was Popsicle or who used to do this, but we used to get some sort of frozen treat where there were jokes on it.
Jokes on it. Yeah, Popsicle do jokes.
And you would get like, I feel like you didn't get the joke until you like finished the pop.
The setup would be on the handle and the punchline is in the pop.
Yeah.
Which really, I mean, even if you kind of are done with the Popsicle about halfway through, you power through to get to that punchline.
Now, why can a kid choke on a dowel rod but not on a flat stick?
Maybe a dowel rod has corners.
More pokey?
More pokey.
Okay.
A little bit more pokey.
All right.
Maybe. I don't know if there were any instances of like child impaled Final Destination style
there you go.
On a popsicle stick. I don't know. He was worried about it, so he took matters into his own hands.
Okay.
By 1924, he had patented his frozen treat. So the patent described it as a frozen confectionery product. I love patent speak.
I love patent drawings. Yes. I've had to look up a lot of patent drawings.
Oh my gosh, they're so cool. That could be eaten without contamination by the hand and without the need for a plate, spoon, fork, or other implement. So it's so fun. Mm-hmm. So if you're trying to sell a popsicle and you have to bust out a fork, that ain't a popsicle.
That's not a popsicle.
Not
you know
what
just popped in my head? I don't know why these haven't been invented yet. Like popsicle nuggies, like just a bag of stickless nuggies. Like you just get like it's like maybe half
Those
the size
are
of
ice cubes.
Yeah, but they have juice in them.
You're describing something that could be contaminated by the hand and with the need for a plate.
Well, they would come with a pair of, I guess, tongs.
Maybe it comes with reusable tongs, but you're encouraged to. You can buy a refill, which has no tongs, or a starter pack that has tongs.
And the one with no tongs, you get more products.
Sure.
Because you're not.
I love that so many things have gone onto like the starter pack refill model. I find that to be really fun. Like I get vitamins for the kids, and it comes with the first one comes in like a nice like metal tin, and then you get the refills. I find that to be very fun.
You know what I got that I thought was fun? I got Mrs. Myers.
Yes.
That's a brand favorite, or it was. Fan. I don't know if it still is. But they've probably done something bad. But I've liked them for a long time. So they sold a glass version of their soap bottle.
Oh, cute.
So I use that, and then I can refill it just with normal.
Like not fancy soap.
I can't. Oh.
What?
Is there anything worse than you go to a job or a friend's home and
they have a fancy soap
they have their
bottle.
like Method bottle. Mm-hmm. They're like, yeah, I buy Method. I'm like, Method doesn't make that color soap. That's not Method. You're not
fluorescent pink.
Yeah, that's Dial, bitch. We all know that's Dial, bitch.
You ain't fooling anybody, bitch.
That's our next t-shirt. That's Dial, bitch.
That's Dial, bitch. I agree. And I think we'll only need 2. One for you and me. I don't know if there'll be a big demand for that. By the way, we want to start making some merch.
Yeah, so if you have ideas of merch you like, let us know.
Somebody said in the Discord they would like a hat that says, okay. So if you'd be interested in an okay hat, maybe we'll start pitching some designs. Oh, do you want a trucker? Do you want a dad hat? You tell us.
I mean, it would be fun to have something that has a button where it actually is me just saying, oh.
That would be great.
Okay.
Like you mean a little speaker?
Or a birthday card where it's like your birthday and like you're 44 and you open up, okay. Oh my gosh, I love it.
That
Hallmark.
is really good.
Hello,
okay,
sharks.
Hallmark, hello sharks. The patent even recommended the types of wood for the stick. So this is basswood, birch, or poplar. And test tubes were proposed as the perfect mold shape. So there wasn't really nobody had made a popsicle before. So like you think about like a popsicle, how do you mass produce that? His mind went to test tubes as being they're glass, they're perfectly smooth, so that the surface of the popsicle is so glossy and like beautiful and seamless.
I could suck a tube.
Test tube racks as mold supports, wax paper molds shaped like test tubes. So he really was like got locked in on like test tubes as being like the vessel, the shape of the popsicle. Yeah. And that is still to this day like kind of the shape that they are. They have that like little round bottom. They don't have the corners on the edges. So they're very test tube-esque. No,
that's a good shape. Yeah.
It's a great shape. Soon after securing his patent, his real estate business collapsed.
Thrived? Oh.
Ooh, I'm sorry to say it collapsed. It collapsed with such might that 4 of his 5 partners at the real estate firm lost their fortunes in the stock market crash and committed suicide. 4 out of 5.
Oh, no.
It's kind of, what was that movie we saw where like, Smile. It's kind of like Smile.
Well, because 4 people died.
Yes, and like he's the one left and he's like, what do I do?
Oh, right.
So he's flat broke. He's up the river. 4 of his 5 besties have croaked. What's he going to do? He has this biggest asset is his popsicle company.
He just has empty test tubes all around him.
He's surrounded by wood sticks.
Whittling sticks.
A big trash can full of dowels saying do not use. He's in trouble. So he finds the Joe Low Company, which is a New York-based ice cream manufacturer, to purchase the Popsicle brand.
Okay. And I'm curious what this went for. I'm curious to what that's going to translate to today.
It's not public what it went for.
Okay.
But I will tell you that Frank was not pleased that he had to make the sale.
Okay.
But don't feel too bad for him because ever the tinkerer, he went on to invent Hydry, a powder drink mix similar to Tang and Kool-Aid.
I just drank some Hydry. Never. Nobody's heard of Hydry.
And what about Vitine, a high-quality shampoo he sold to beauty parlors?
Ugh. Oh, this guy's really tinkering.
This is a bummer. His 2 big tinkers, they shit the bed.
Wow.
Yeah. So he went on to live a happy life, a happy family, but he did not ever have another big invention.
And he apparently did not get rich from the sale.
He did not get rich from the sale. He regretted it, and he just went on to live a normal life. But who knows? Maybe the pressures of the ice pop business would have sent him to an early grave. He lived to be 89.
Oh, wow. He lived a long life.
Meanwhile, now with the new owner, the frozen dessert industry is booming and competition is fierce. Okay. Popsicle's biggest legal rival was Good Humor. Okay. We all remember the Good Humor man.
Another one I had looked into about doing. I really wanted to do an ice cream the last 2 summers.
It was summer. It just feels appropriate. My popsicle consumption is at an all-time high. Creator of the dairy-based Good Humor bar, and the 2 companies battled over patents for years. Some might even call it the Cold War.
Did you come up with that?
I mean, somebody might call it that. Somebody?
You?
I mean, am I somebody?
A reporter?
We're all somebody to someone.
You pulled that, right?
Between 1924 and 1933, Popsicle was defining their entire category, where they stood against the competition, and they were very litigious about it. In 1925, Popsicle and Good Humor reached a licensing agreement that Popsicle would own the water-based frozen treat space.
I was just about to say, here's my thing with those 2 companies.
Yes.
When I think about Popsicle, all of their inventions are riffs on popsicles. There's like popsicles that kind of bend. There's some with like a flavor on the inside and some that aren't. There's popsicles shaped like crayons. There's fudgesicles, which kind of goes outside of that water thing, but they're all in that world. And when I think of good humor, what I think about the Strawberry Crunch Bar. I think about like more fun ice cream novelties.
There's more room for innovation if you have cream on your side. I will say. I'll back that up.
I'll back that up.
Let's just say you got cream on your side. Life's a dream.
Let's just say it has been a long time since I've had cream on my side.
Which side? Your belly?
Wow. You know what I really like? I love that
the strawberry shortcake bar. Me too.
That thing is so good.
God, there is nothing like it. That is my go. And for some reason, I experience a lot of frozen dessert cases in my life. We go to a corner liquor store. There's a great case that has like a, Haagen-Dazs bars. It has Ben & Jerry's pints. It has Snickers ice cream bars, another favorite of mine. But the strawberry shortcake bar, those are not prominent in just like the like a liquor store freezer case.
No. And for me, I have to let them sit out for just the right amount of time.
You always have like a weird way.
Well, that's why we have the show.
Sure, yeah.
So like the bottom gets just melty enough. And I sometimes am not patient enough. And I've learned I can microwave it for like 8 seconds.
You're playing with fire there, man.
I know. I have definitely, sometimes you do it 8 seconds and you go to pick it up and the whole stick slides out.
Yeah.
It varies. But man, I need it to get just a little bit melty.
Those are so good.
Ice cream Mount Rushmore. I would say definitely strawberry shortcake
bar.
Definitely Snickers.
Snickers, yes. We're in full agreement.
For me, definitely classic ice cream sandwich.
Yes.
I love to run my tongue around all 4 sides of that thing.
I bet you do. And boy, have your fingers ever been more brown than after eating an ice cream sandwich? Let me guess, you like to scrape that scuzz off with your teeth.
It's one of my 20 greatest pleasures.
They should sell just the scuzz.
Just the scuzz.
It's like Fun Dip, and you just dip your fingers in and then lick it off your
That's what you should
index.
use if you ever are being arrested and about to be fingerprinted. Just be
sure,
like, could I just quickly have an ice cream sandwich?
I'm sorry, I have an ice cream sandwich. It's going to melt. I'm so hungry.
I just have to finish this really quick, and then I'm happy to take your pictures and your fingerprints.
And then they'll say, sir, you're free to go.
The fingerprints don't match. These are clearly the fingerprints of a dirty man.
$$ bag in your trunk.
Last ice cream on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, what's on there? What could it be?
I guess push-up pop, even though I haven't had one of those in a really long time. I love
No,
orange
actually,
sherbet.
you know what I'll say? And it ties in because they were briefly part of the Popsicle company. An old school pudding pop.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever get into a pudding pop?
Of course. You scrape that like
that
sheet of
icy sheet
ice
on top.
Yeah, you got to get that whole, see how much of that sheet of ice you
Why
can get
did
off?
that happen? I've learned a little bit about the process of making these kind of pops, and I don't understand how in the process freezing pudding on a stick creates like a millimeter thick iceberg.
It was beautiful.
Oh my God. It was so good.
It was so good.
I love the swirl, the vanilla chocolate.
Oh my God. I was straight vanilla.
They were so good. But it wasn't just, it had like a lot of depth to it. They tried to bring them back.
Well,
they
now,
weren't popular. It was different. I mean, I know, but still.
They're
like,
so associated. I mean, not to get dirty, but they're so associated with Bill Cosby that I don't know that they can bring them back.
It's not like he invented Jell-O.
It's not like anyone now knows who he is.
That's a really good point.
Like, you think your children are like, oh no, Bill Cosby.
That's right. If I'm putting Pops in the cart, they're like, geez, Mom, yikes. I'm like, you know who Bill Cosby is? Like, wait, everybody does. I'm 7 and I know who Bill Cosby is.
Something about a 7-year-old yikesing you.
Yeah, but it's a bummer. It's a real bummer.
They need to. I feel like they came back in like 2008.
I'm not going to say the greatest tragedy of the whole Bill Cosby scandal was losing pudding pops. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to say it, but do with that what you will. So, good humor gets milks. Popsicle gets ices.
God, that reminds me of the Wonder Twins from the Super Friends. Do you remember them?
Yes, one of them can
She got to be like
anything.
any animal in the world,
Sure.
and he could only be water products. So she could be like, "I want to be a large falcon."
That is exactly it.
And he was like, "I'll be a pail of water."
And he could be a bucket, yeah, or an ice cube.
Or
yes.
Sometimes he'd be a puddle for someone to slip on, and she's like, "I'll be a lioness."
I get everything. You get water products. That's exactly what happened with Good Humor and Popsicle. And you know what? Popsicle felt the same way because you know what happened? In 1932, they tried to
milk it up a little bit.
They launched a milk popsicle.
Is this where Fudgesicle's going to weasel its way in? Because I don't mind a Fudgesicle.
They started to kind of like parse apart. Okay, so they,
Just
1932, they add a couple drops of milk, hoping no one will notice. There's another lawsuit. 1933, they kind of try to like settle to stick to their lanes.
They're in court like, come on, man, we just give us a cup of milk.
Well, it ended up getting very like specific about like how much milk, how much cream. And if you spend any time in the dairy industry, as you and I both have,
we have.
You know how much butter fat you have to be able to call yourself a certain kind of ice cream. Or you could just be like an ice cream product or whatever. There's a process of like the whipping the ice cream that incorporates air and then how much air is in it. It's a whole thing. So
that's why McDonald's for a long time couldn't call their milkshakes milkshakes because there was no milk in them. They could only call them shakes.
They're closer to popsicles than they are ice cream.
Yeah.
So they were able to kind of like find these little loopholes where it was like, if it's just like 10 drops of milk, that's closer to a popsicle than ice cream. And they kind of started to work it out. The Great Depression, hard time for every business. We know, has there been any company? There's been a handful of companies that have thrived during that time, but for most companies, it's a pretty challenging era, especially if you got really rolling in the mid-1920s.
Of course.
In a clever move, the company introduced the double stick design. 2 connected popsicles could be split and shared between kids or eaten very slowly by one. You could buy a double stick popsicle for a nickel. And by the 1930s, popsicle was selling in the hundreds of millions.
That's giving me such flashbacks. Do they still do the double
Flashbacks to
stick?
the Great Depression?
That was a hard time. I'm not going to lie.
It was rough for all of us.
Do they still do those? I feel like the challenge with those, I definitely had those growing up, was getting a clean
even
break.
It was impossible.
It needed to be a little bit perforated.
It needed to be perforated. And you know what? It's set up for failure because if you have a double stick popsicle, it's like a brother and a sister. And it's like, okay, this popsicle's for both of you. They're already going to be squabbling over who got the bigger one, who got more. Parents' nightmare.
You know what's so crazy about that? In this particular instance,
what?
I learned how to share in that scenario from The Cosby Show. Because they had something and they said, yes, you get yours, you get to cut it, and the other one gets to pick the first piece.
That is genius.
And I was like, that is so brilliant. Bill Cosby is all over this. We'll just put his picture up for all of our socials.
That'll be a really evocative thumbnail if we want to drive some traffic to this video. The impact, you'll never believe the impact Bill Cosby has made on your life. That's what it's about. Oh, just jumping ahead a little bit, but you had asked about the double stick. It was discontinued in the early 2000s.
I forgot all
about it.
Less
convenient. It was a little messy, but it was briefly revived after pop star Justin Bieber tweeted about missing them in 2019.
Now that is the freaking power I am trying to get to with this podcast.
I want fire up the Suzy Q production line. Yeah. John Glover special edition.
Like one box shows up to my house with 24 cakes. Like gift of Hostess. Glad you love us.
You get to do a collab with Hostess for like Post Malone Oreos. You have John's Q's.
Now there's Selena
Johnny
Gomez.
Q's.
Johnny Q's. Oh,
I love it.
Twice the cream, no cake.
It's your perfect Q. It's just
a handful of cream.
A handful of cream, your dream. So Popsicle is cruising during the Great Depression. They're leaning into marketing now. They're sponsoring radio shows like Buck Rogers.
Buck Rogers, inspiration to Star Wars.
Sure. And they create their beloved mascot, Popsicle Pete. People are pulling over. They need to hear more about Popsicle
There was
Pete.
A Popsicle mascot. Let me guess. His legs were made out of sticks. His arms were made out of sticks. His head was a nuggie.
You know, so they introduced Popsicle Pete. He had a comic strip and comic books, as a lot of things did at that time that were in collaboration with brands.
Sounds like he would have a cowboy hat and a mustache.
He looked very like of the time as like a little boy. In fact, it was introduced in 1939. They set him up as the winner of a fake contest called the Typical American Boy Contest. Which, wouldn't you love to be that, Judge?
I feel like that's what it would be called now. Like we're so like scared of, that's like how I would name it because I'm so scared of offending anybody. The American Human Male.
The Typical American Boy Contest.
Yes.
So Popsicle Pete, he was in ads for decades. He was on the packaging and TV commercials well into the 1990s. I didn't remember Popsicle Pete. Have you ever seen Popsicle Pete before?
I'm looking him up right now. I don't like to look at my computer during the show, but I did want to see what he looks like. I gotta say, a little lazy on the design. It's like a normal guy wearing like a band hat, like a tall band hat that's melted on top, and they just stuck a 2-stick popsicle right on the front of it.
It seems very hastily drawn, and the comics too. They look like somebody was like, "You have 10 minutes till we go to print." press.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a... Here, I forgot now that we're on video.
yeah.
They might be able to see this. I don't know. Can you see
Yeah,
that?
that's Popsicle Pete.
That's Popsicle
Does
Pete.
that look like the typical American boy to you? I've never
then.
seen a boy like that.
Yeah, it looks like he doesn't have... His teeth are weird. I don't know. He's a little scary for Popsicle distribution.
We have some notes about Popsicle Pete.
Yeah.
Other big milestones, 1937, the launch of the creamsicle with the fruity coating. So technically, Ice Cream Center, I don't know. I'm going to say that was maybe more milk than ice cream.
I love...
For legal purposes.
And still love. Right now, Trader Joe's has a root beer like creamsicle thing with ice cream with root beer popsicle flavor. It is so divine.
It is so good. 1946, the Fudgesicle hits the market. Remains one of the brand's top sellers.
I'm not usually into most things chocolate. I mean, I'll eat them. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate chocolate, but it's not my go-to. But Fudgesicle, still not my go-to, but if I'm given it, I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's not my favorite either. To me, I think maybe because I'm noticing that it doesn't have as much of like ice cream. It feels kind of wet to me. It feels kind of like watery.
Well, it doesn't have, it's not ice cream. It's like the whole thing is like it's like similar to like a brownie batter pop or something.
Yeah.
It's not like ice cream with a fudge on top of it.
There's something going on in
It's
there.
like watery chocolate.
It's like watery chocolate. It's like if you were out of milk, but you wanted chocolate milk, so you put Hershey syrup in water.
Yeah.
And then you were like, well, this will do in a pinch. And then you drink it. You're like, ugh, this is rough.
It's like my brothers and I one time, I think I've mentioned this on pod, we didn't have milk, so for our cereal, we just were like, water's the same.
It's not the
It's
same.
not the same.
But you know what? If you do have it, will work in a pinch, half and half.
Oh, that's some
Half
thick ice cream.
and half.
I feel like you got to dilute that a little bit.
We told that story out here that Al Pal was babysitting for us when we went out of town for our anniversary. And my 3-year-old has a cup of milk every morning and every night. And when Alistair was here, he accidentally gave him a cup of half and half.
Oh my God.
Boy, he did not make a peep. And normally, like if I try to give him fat free instead of, he was drinking, I can't remember if it was whole or 2% at that time. If I tried to give him any kind other than like lower percentage of fat, he would always clock and be like, this isn't right. But for some reason, when it was half and half in his cup, he was silent as a church mouse.
It's like melted ice cream.
Yeah.
Very decadent.
Hell yeah. So in the 1950s on, there started to be some kind of changes. We enter some mergers, some acquisitions. 1950s through 60s, it was still owned by Joe Low, then Consolidated Foods, which later became Sara Lee. 1986, sold to Gold Bond Ice Cream, the makers of Eskimo Pie. 1989, acquired by Unilever.
God, once it's in Unilever's hands, I lose all interest because I hate those big places.
Sure.
But can we say Sara Lee? I'm sure maybe we've mentioned this once on the pod. I don't remember.
Great.
The brilliance of the Sara Lee logo.
Oh, yeah.
Where it can be
Nobody
read two
does it
different
right,
ways. It can be nobody doesn't like Sara Lee or nobody does it like Sara Lee.
Was that intentional?
I don't know.
Or did they just think it was obvious and then half the people were like, what is it? What does it say?
I don't know. It reminds me of the famous Smith song, How Soon Is Now, where he's like, I am the sun in the air. And I always thought it was I am the sun and the air. But it can also be I'm the sun and the air.
Yes.
I just
double meaning.
love
I
shit
love
like that.
Double meaning.
Accident or not, I love it.
I love that too. The exciting thing about being acquired by Unilever is that they also own Good Humor. So decades of rivalry and, nitpicking over how many drops of milk are in a popsicle. They're finally under the same roof.
That's not necessarily a good thing, though. Like, I watch videos about, and I find them so fascinating.
Yeah.
Because we get mad at a company and we're like, we're going to boycott Cheerios.
Sure.
And then I'll see this video and this guy will break down the cereal aisle.
Oh, my God.
And he's like, I'm going to color everything red that's owned by Kellogg's and it's 90%.
Sure.
And here's everything that's owned by Post and it's the other 90%. And then there's like, you can buy these 2 boxes of cereal that are all the way down on the end. And those are the only ones that are like made by grandma in Kentucky.
And it happens so many, like a lot of these independent brands that people really like. Siete chips, people were worried about. Do you know about Siete grain-free tortilla chips? Those just recently got bought by probably like Pepsi or something. Like Rouse, everybody gets bought by Pepsi, and then everybody gets nervous that quality will change, and it's not going to be the same. But at least they were out of the woods with all their legal disputes.
Yeah, that's good.
And Unilever expanded the product line, including novelty pops like Firecracker and Scribblers.
See, that's what I was saying. The crayon ones, firecracker, the ones that look like rockets. They were red, white, and blue.
Yes, they had more character themed, like licensing with cartoon characters, health focused versions with less sugar or real fruit juice. As I mentioned, the double stick design was discontinued in the early 2000s, but Justin Bieber is still a fan. They still remain a registered trademark owned by Unilever, and part of it is Good Humor's Breyer division, which we've talked about. Breyers? Dryers. What's
I get
going
so
on there?
confused with Breyers and Dryers.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
Imagine you're naming your ice cream, unless that was intentionally like confusing so that people would be like a shopping list, like your wife writes you a shopping list and it says Breyers, and then you get to the freezer and you're just like, I guess she means this, you grab Dryers. And enough people do that, and then Dryers becomes like
The
as
number
popular
one.
as Breyers.
We should come out with Lynn and Perry's ice cream.
We should come out with Lynn and Perry's ice cream. I'm Lynn.
And I'm Perry. I'm the socially conscious one.
I think we could really confuse some dads in the freezer aisle into buying ours. We both have beards, tie-dye shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a free country. We could do it.
Do it.
I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, so as I mentioned in the opening, there's a lot of brands where, like Dumpster, for example, where the name has become genericized, where the brand has not been protected enough that now it has just publicly been acknowledged as a generic term for that product line. They have worked very hard, very litigiously to keep the name Popsicle as a trademark. So if anybody tries to come out with anything that it says Popsicle in their brand name or their product description or anything on anyone's website, which I'm sure it's now easier to find because they can scrub the web for anybody claiming to have a Popsicle product, they will send them a cease and desist. They will demand that it gets removed. The exception is Popsicle sticks. So even though the name Popsicle is exclusive to the company Popsicle, if you have a wooden stick, you can call it a Popsicle stick.
Interesting.
And sell it anywhere at your Joann's Fabric or your Party City or your
You might not want to try to get an order
Radio
there.
Shack, Blockbuster Video.
Circuit City.
At your Circuit City, which I thought that was funny. It was like,
I feel like they've done a really
popsicle
good
stick,
job with
yeah.
that, because I don't think of like my Trader Joe's. I consider them like dessert bars or
Frozen
fruit bars,
novelty.
or like I don't think of anything else as a popsicle.
yes, absolutely. And even from the
Frozen
beginning,
treat.
when they were trying to become the brand leader in this category, of course, other brands were popping up. None of them are any ones we know today. It'd be like Citrus Time or something, and they would be trying to sell some kind of like frozen juice on a stick, basically. What was interesting, I thought this was kind of funny about the way popsicles were being marketed early on. Somebody would call them, like one of these competitors would call them a drink on a stick. And the way that it was intended to be eaten was that oh my gosh, how funny, we have a chalk popsicle here.
I know. I wanted to have this as a freeze frame for our thing.
The way it was intended to be eaten as a drink on a stick is that you suck all the juice out of it and then throw away the ice.
I can do that.
You could do that.
I could suck all the juice out of that.
You could?
And then throw away the ice.
Would you throw away the ice or would you dunk it in your Diet Coke?
I hadn't thought of it. I'm not opposed to that either. I'd probably just scrape it into my Diet Coke
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
as the ice.
So that's the history of Popsicle.
Wow.
Yeah. As we know, their flavors have changed over the years. They have Yo-sicle, a yogurt based. My favorite one that I am sad that is gone.
Cottage cheese.
Not a cottage cheese pop.
God, that's a lumpy lick.
That is a lumpy. That honestly might have too much milk to classify as a popsicle.
Would you get
that might
like
have to be a good humor bar.
Would you get an ivory colored cottage cheese frozen treat?
No, but I have dabbled personally, and I feel like I've made a prototype. I feel like there's room in the market for savory popsicles.
Like broth?
Like broth, sure, like broth. But
wait, we were somewhere recently and they didn't they?
Oh yes,
they snuck bone broth into their popsicles.
At a friend's house and the kids got tricked into eating these like homemade Otter Pops from the farmer's market that tasted like lemonade, but it was instead of water, it was bone broth.
And there was like spinach. It was like a nutritious. It was
nutritious.
A way to get your kid to have nutrition.
But I remember, this is memories flooding back to me. This was an invention I had from like 15 years ago. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Gazpacho Pops.
Gazpacho
Pops.
You
tomato.
Don't
like gazpacho.
I don't like tomato.
Okay, well, I have made it before. My memory, it went really well, and I think there's room.
I thought you were going to say it went really viral.
I think there's room in the popsicle space to move away from sweet.
All right, Mount Rushmore of our 4 savory flavored pops.
Okay.
Gravy.
Well, white gravy, brown gravy.
2 gravies.
You need 2 gravies.
Uh-huh.
A1.
That's an intense pop.
Worcestershire?
Definitely a Worcestershire. And yeah, that would be like the extreme savory pop.
That would be. Wow, interesting.
Well, listen, maybe that would
Everything
work.
but the bagel?
Comes with a dipping pack.
Yeah.
Full of seeds.
Oh, so it's just like frozen cream cheese and you dip it in seeds?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's room to have fun.
Here's where I get a little skeeved out by the direction. Like once it's in Unilever's hands or that one that starts with an M, there's all these giant corporations. Like then I start to see things like slow melt pops.
Sure.
It's like I get skeeved. To me, that's like the AI of food. Like what did they put in there
slow melt pop,
that makes it like melt slowly?
Yes.
It's like there's some chemical. They're like, if we put silicone in them, they'll barely melt at all.
And we save like 1/8 of a penny on every popsicle if we make it 1/8 silicone.
Yeah, and it's
and
just
as
like
a bonus, it melts slower. So it's
slower.
like works for everybody. And, speaking of that, in my popsicle research, there was my preferred go-to brand of popsicles. Now I have two: Johnny Pop and Good Pop. They're both usually available at Costco. You can find them at Whole Foods, regular grocery stores. And they are marketed as a little bit more, you look at a popsicle box, you don't think of that as being like particularly healthy. It's funny, it's like, you can just tell by the box if this is marketed as like a healthy popsicle or a not healthy popsicle.
Oh, for sure.
For some reason, the box being like bright yellow and all the primary colors, in my mind, I'm like, that's not as healthy. I want I'm giving my kids, if I'm bringing popsicles into the house, I'm not policing them. You can have a popsicle any time of day. In my mind, it's like, it's juice.
That being said, I do admire the Popsicle logo. I feel like it's one that's been around. I don't know well enough to know if it's changed over time. I'm sure it's been tweaked a little bit, but it's iconic. And
it's an iconic logo.
It seems 70s, but still like cool.
Still timeless and still cool. I personally haven't bought Popsicle brand in a while because in my mind, I'm like, that probably has like a lot of added sugar. And I want maybe a little bit less sugar popsicles so that I don't have to feel guilty about just like handing them out with reckless abandon. There was a lawsuit between my two favorite popsicle companies, Johnny Pops and Good Pop. Good Pop sued Johnny Pops for misleading customers into thinking their popsicles were healthy. This was news to me. I thought Johnny Pops were just like frozen fruit juice because you look at the box, it's white, it has like pictures of cherries and oranges and like all this fresh fruit, and it says like made with natural ingredients or ingredients you can trust or you can feel whatever. Like it evokes a feeling of that they're healthy. And Good Pop, that's actually what they are. It's only fruit juice. And they were like telling Johnny Pop with a lawsuit, you are trying to trick people into thinking that you are a healthy popsicle, a fruit pop like us, but really you're not. And I looked at Johnny Pop. Johnny Pops, which I think my kids had like 3 of them yesterday, have more sugar per ounce than Coca-Cola. The first ingredient, it's water and then sugar, and then like a little like dribs and drabs of juice.
It's so funny you say that.
I've been duped.
Because there isn't, I know I bring up TikTok, I feel like all the time, but there's a guy that I see on TikTok on occasion where he's like, I'm going to make Pepsi look healthy. And he'll take like an iconic brand like Coca-Cola or whatever.
Yeah.
And he'll redesign it with all the things that you're legally allowed to say, like contains natural flavors. That is a bullshit. Like
or it's organic. It's organic sugar.
Right.
Yeah,
like
totally.
he all the things he's like, and he'll like change the color from red to craft brown or whatever. And he's like, then you look at it and you're like, yeah, I would buy that. Does look healthier. But
isn't that
it's
crazy?
the exact same thing, and nothing he's put on it is illegal.
It's wild, the psychology, and that I love like the branding and the marketing, how that like preys on our subconscious.
Spend so much money on it,
and
it's
yet
so
Taco Bell's look the way they do, and yet a McDonald's looks the way it does. How did we? Everything looks like a payday loans place. It's horrible.
You know what my go-to popsicle is?
What?
Whole Foods in-house brand 365 strawberry bars. They are so delicious.
Yeah.
There's like chunks of real strawberry in them. I love them. And sometimes if I'm feeling a little naughty, I'll get their lime, which doesn't have chunks in it but then I don't want a whole box of the limes, but those strawberries, I can plow through those in a few days. They're so good. It is
popsicle season on a hot day. I mean, there really is nothing better. It hits the spot, man. Popsicles are so good.
Yeah.
So I'll conclude by asking, are popsicles on brand for you? Popsicle brand specifically, not the genericized term ice pop.
You know, I'm going to say yes, because it's like, even if I don't buy them that much, I appreciate that they're there, and I don't dislike them. I mean, I like the class. I love cherry, I love orange and grape. I so rarely like all the flavors of a brand. I like their logo. Fun story that it was a kid that fell asleep. Sure, whether that's
Inspiration
true or not.
to sleepy kids everywhere.
I love that they were forced to work with just water-based products for so long and still succeeded. So sure, because of their tenacity and their slow melt popsicles, sure, they're on brand.
I will agree with you. They're on brand for me. Even though they're not my go-to popsicle that I grab, I will acknowledge their journey, their contribution to the iced treat market, to the space. I will forever mourn my favorite variety pack, which was lemon lime, root beer, and banana.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that variety pack?
I do. They don't make that
When
anymore?
are those three ever hanging out at the same table? Banana, root beer, lemon lime.
That reminds me of like back in my ice cream days when I had to make banana splits. It's like, okay, so wait, so it's strawberry, chocolate, and pineapple?
How'd you get invited? Pineapple?
Yeah, pineapple. Who brought you to the party?
I loved the root beer popsicles. I love that variety pack. Each of them, I never would buy a box of on their own, but for some reason, like being like having 2 root beers in a row and being like, yeah, I'll have a banana. Sure, a banana flavored popsicle. It's not my go-to, but it's a pleasant surprise. I'm happy it's there. And I, along with many other people in the Facebook comments on the popsicle page, we mourn the loss every day. I might sign a change.org petition.
Well, now what I've learned is you just become viral on TikTok for how much you love it. And this one young woman on TikTok is obsessed with a retired color of Crayola crown called Dandelion. So anytime she's at a thrift store or something and she sees a box that has a dandelion crown in it, she'll buy it. And her whole room is just things that are dandelion crayon. This year, Crayola was like, you know what? We're going to release a box of 8 retired colors, including dandelion. They invited her to New York.
Cute.
They made like a big dandelion crayon like mascot. And like she like, everyone's like, holy shit. We've all watched her obsession for a year. And now she's like with the corporation.
I think I know that. Is that color kind of like a dark yellow?
It's like a darker yellow. And
I
she
like
just
that
loves
color
it.
too.
Yeah,
I like it too. Oh, that's
so
fun.
yeah, just start making your content about root beer pops. The ones at Trader Joe's are, I mean, root beer.
They are divine.
Root beer, everything about root beer being cold, it's like all has to be like a cold root beer in a mug,
Yes.
root beer over ice cream, the root beer popsicle, the root beer
Yes.
pops at Trader Joe's. Like you can't go wrong. And now this new root beer candy that they have,
Yeah.
the cookie, man, you really can't go wrong
Put it in
with
the freezer.
root beer.
I know. Root beer is just like 10 out of 10. So yes, popsicles on brand for me. I acknowledge their contribution. Statue of Frank Epperson in every town square.
I don't know about that. I mean, he's no Sarah Jessica. Sarah Josepha Hale. Jessica. That's what they would rebrand her as.
Hey, you mentioned Ice Capades as an ice theme episode. John, where'd you get ice this week?
At the rat-infested Del Taco on Los Angeles Boulevard.
Okay, where else?
I went there. Where else have I gotten it? I've gotten it at Taco Bell. I mean, it's only Thursday. I must have gotten it somewhere else. Oh, I just got some at 7-Eleven on the way here. This ice is from 7-Eleven, but I did buy a Diet Coke there.
Where are you getting your weekend ice?
You know, it depends where I'm at.
Oh, okay.
Oh, last weekend when I had my picnic with the Avatar Gal Pals, I got it at Popeyes.
I would love to see you just rolling with an igloo cooler and like a piece of like drain gutter, just like to funnel it into a cooler.
Listen, I love my ice. What can I say?
What can you say?
All right, and before we go, I want to give out our shout-outs to our Freaks of the Week. If you're not familiar, every Wednesday I post an Insta egg on our Instagram story. It's basically just a puzzle that lets you guess what our brand is going to be that week. If you guess it right, I will send you a little freak badge, and your name will get added to our Wheel of Freaks. And every episode, I spin the wheel 5 times and get 5 Freaks of the Week. So this was for the MySpace Insta egg, which was basically a recreation of a MySpace page for our podcast. Brought back a lot of memories for people. We had a lot of fun with it. And these are our Freaks of the Week from that egg. Alan Bates, Logan Michael Kirby, Jacob T. Moore, Adam Chimio, and Melissa. No last name. So congratulations, you guys. Thank you so much for always playing the Insta Egg. Be sure to check it out every Wednesday. And also check out our Instagram feed, because we also put in a lot of like supplemental materials that we talk about in the pod, so you can see a lot of things we're talking about. Maybe I'll post a picture of the trash on Marissa's floor this week. I haven't decided. That might be too much for, I don't know if I want to literally dirty up our feed.
That might be a story.
That might be a story.
I think that has to disappear.
That may go to our Discord
Yeah,
also.
send that to the Discord.
If you have not joined our Patreon now, definitely, if you're in a position, please consider it. We have a sister podcast called Off Brand, which we talk a lot with our listeners and we answer their questions and do fun things with them, and we talk more about brands that we don't have time to on the show. And even if you're not going to listen to the pod, it helps us out a lot. So if you're in a position to join our Patreon, please do. Yeah.
And while we're giving shout outs, I'd like to shout out some lovely listeners who've left us 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. First, we have Carrie, who says, "This duo is on brand for me. A perfect mix of facts and laughs delivered by two dynamic and relatable hosts. She should write our bio."
I love it.
Yeah. Birthday Rich said, "Almost caught up. Can't wait to catch y'all's latest episode. This show was made for people like me, the coolest and chillest people." Thank you, Jon and Marisa. Dang.
Confident.
Birthday Rich, love that confident energy coming in on a Thursday. If you haven't left us a review on Apple Podcasts, please do. It helps out the show and it lifts our mood, our spirits, and then you'll get a shout out on an episode. And like Jon said, check out our Patreon, check out our Instagram at OnBrandThePod, TikTok at OnBrandThePodcast. You can play Jon's Insta egg every Wednesday to try to guess what the brand will be in the next day's episode. And there's lots more fun stuff there. Oh, we're also on YouTube. You just listened to the show. Maybe next week you want to watch it. YouTube On Brand the Podcast, and you can watch us talk instead of listen to us talk. There you go. That makes sense.
Go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel.
There you go. All right. With that, we'll be back next week with an all-new episode.
And remember, we may go off topic, but we'll always be on brand.
Bye.
Goodbye.